for example, I've been trying to recruit this kid. And, well, not kid, he's a man.
I was going to say, we always say this kid, he's like 40.
He's not 40, but I won't mention any names.
Yeah. Don't do that.
But
welcome to the Realtor-ish podcast. I'm your host, Juliana Gainsberg. This podcast is all about helping entrepreneurs grow their business through real estate and business development strategies. In each episode, my guests and I will chat about the real when it comes to real estate. If you like what you hear, follow us on your favorite streaming platform.
Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Juliana Gainsberg. This is Realtor-ish podcast until I decide that we have a new name for the podcast. Today is not really going to be business focused, but everything that we talk about is kind of part of my life, and it should be part of yours as far as daily habits, manifesting, mindset, all the things. So today I have a very special guest, Marisa.
hello.
How are ya?
Doing great.
Marisa is a friend of mine that I've met through, I met through networking and business and all of the things. And she's just amazing. So tell me, give the people that don't know who you are a little like spiel.
So I got involved in real estate back in college.
Okay.
I went to school actually for fashion. So kind of took a turn, but I worked for my landlord for 4 years when I was in college. And he started with probably about 20 properties. By the time I graduated, he had around 80. I managed his finances. He let me sit on his mortgage deals and stuff like that. So I was really able to see like the back end of the process, property management. He owned the contracting company that did all the work for his properties. So he was kind of like an all-in-one shop. Yeah. And I definitely gained a lot of experience. But once I graduated, I went into fashion. I worked for URBN for about 2 years. I worked for Free People and Urban Outfitters.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah, it was cool. It was definitely a cool environment. Over at the Navy Yard, they have like 10 buildings. Yeah. And it's definitely like a very laid back work environment. I mean, people are wearing crop tops and, hats to work and whatever. But it was a bit of like a high school environment. Yeah. So it wasn't really the environment that got me out of it. It was more so the pay when I started talking to like higher ups and stuff like that. And, being able to make my own money and provide for a family myself without having to rely on anyone has always been something that was like really instilled in me. So when I started really digging into that, I realized that it just wasn't feasible for me to be able to grow to where I wanted to be there. And my dad had just sold a text message marketing company at the time. He had it for about 7 years. I helped him a little bit with that, but he had just sold it with his partner. And he was like, I think we want to get into the mortgage industry, but we would need somebody to like run shop for us because they both had full-time jobs. So he pretty much asked if I would quit my job and help him start this mortgage company. This was in the summer of 2019, pre-COVID. And so
that's when I got into real estate as well.
Okay, yeah. So I quit my job the next day, started studying for my exam. And in July of 2019 is when I got licensed. But like even prior, I was doing all the networking as if I was already a loan officer, just really trying to build a name for the company and for myself. So I got licensed and really just hit the ground running. Networking was like my biggest thing, in order to get business, especially in this industry. So just went to all the events that I could, started really utilizing social media, reaching out to people, asking them to go to lunches and dinners and whatnot, and kind of built my business that way. But then COVID hit, and we really only had probably about 7 months in. Yeah. So we didn't have like a pipeline to capitalize on the refinances. So I ended up getting out of the industry for about 8 months. I worked in finance for one of my friends who owned an auto body shop. And that took a very bad turn. It is hard working for friends, but he was not in a good mental state. And it was starting to affect me drastically. And so I had to leave there, and I got a recruiter, and she ended up getting me an interview with Trident.
Okay.
And
which is not anymore, right?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, because that was like Trident was like the Berkshire Hathaway, like
Yes.
together. Yeah,
So
okay.
I was supposed to do like processing
Okay.
for them. But I had a contact over at Core, Brian McGodery, who I reached out to.
Shut up, Brian.
Literally. But I reached out to him and I was like, listen, Brian, I'm getting this offer from this other company, but I would much rather work for Core and with you.
Yeah.
So he wanted me to dive into business development with him. And at the time, I was really trying to focus on personal training and thought that I would just have this 9 to 5 and be able to build my personal training outside
And when
of
did
that.
you, were you always doing the personal training thing? Because we'll talk about that too, but when did that come in from when you left
That was
fashion?
kind of like the prior year. Like when I made the transition, once I was working at the shop was when I really started like digging into personal training.
Yeah.
I had trained with a personal trainer like years prior to that. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, now at this point, I'm probably about like 7 years or so into
Yeah.
like training, hardcore. But yeah, so I reached out to Brian and he wanted me to be in business development. And I was like, nope, just want a processing job. I want to sit behind a desk, this and that. When I first
Can
got
you imagine like your
No.
mindset now and
So
saying that you
crazy.
just want to sit behind, no shame to anyone that enjoys sitting behind a
Right.
desk, but me knowing you, like,
yeah, it's wild.
can you like just think about that? You literally straight up said to him, I just want to sit behind a desk.
I know. It is crazy to think about because I'm such a different person now,
Yeah.
and at that time I really thought that like the 9 to 5 sitting behind the desk was just gonna like pay my bills while I built this other business,
Right.
But nothing ever works out that way sometimes, so pretty much he was like, I really think that you need to dive into business development. Like you're great with people.
Yeah.
When I first got in the industry, I was dealing with a lot of men, wanting to, oh, well, what are you gonna offer to me? And I'm just like, my foot up your ass.
You are allowed to curse on this
Yeah.
podcast in case you wanted to
Just making sure.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm sure like I have my own experiences with that too, but I'm sure that there's like anybody in and around our industry that is
Deals
a
with that.
woman.
Yeah. Especially
dealt with
I was 23 at the time. I had
Yeah.
no prior experience. So a lot of these people were just not really taking me seriously.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I ended up getting the job at Core as a processor. And I ended up getting Brendan the job in business development instead.
And I don't know where we are at in podcasts of like what episode that is, but Marissa's brother Brendan was just on, and you'll probably see that before you see this. But we talked about how, I don't know how much we talked on the episode that I like remember, but I know that business development, like it's a lot of just like networking and like socializing and meeting people. So from like a female side of that, it's like hard to like get people to be like serious when they're like in maybe like happy hour, like bar settings, or like we met at Center City Sips.
Yeah.
And like that was not a business setting, even though we tried to all be like, yeah, like it's a networking thing, realtors and blah, blah, blah. But like, obviously like good relationships have come from it. I mean, like I use Core and like
of course.
you and everybody else, but yeah, it's hard to like draw that line.
It's hard to break the barrier. And like now where I am, like I know the things that I need to say and how I need to approach certain things in order to have them take me seriously. And it also comes with like, now I've been in the industry for like 3 years, so it was a little bit of both. But it was funny because after Brendan got that job, I started taking a step back and being like, wow, why did I just give that up? Because he was golfing 4 days a week and going out,
FOMO.
Literally.
Yeah.
But he's great at his job, and I knew that he would be. And I kind of didn't really know where I wanted to go at that point. I was really in this like discovery phase.
Yeah.
So I worked at Core for about 8 or 9 months. And then my now boss, Dana Ganaris, reached out to me.
Great guy.
He is.
Met him a few weeks ago. I thought he was really nice.
He's so sweet. But one of my realtors, Bart Middleman, he was like the first realtor when I got into the industry that like took me seriously and like went with me full-fledged with everything that he did. And he had recommended me to Dana. Yeah. Dana was like, we just started a branch of NFM lending over in Medford Lakes, and they were looking to recruit some LOs. So he reached out to me, and I remember having a conversation with him and being like, he just seemed super genuine.
Yeah.
So the following week, I met him in person, and he pretty much sold me right then and there.
Yeah.
Just on, what they had to offer. He was pretty much like giving me a position that wasn't even there, like as a loan officer. But, I was in a position where I was like, I need to have a salary. I can't sign on 100% commission. I don't have a book of business. I need to, build that again. And he put enough trust in me to do that. And, I was put on salary plus commission, and then I was on a draw for the second 6 months. And September was my 1 year.
Yeah.
But
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was crazy because where I am now, like, I believe wholeheartedly I manifested.
Yeah.
Like, not a doubt in my mind.
Okay, but wait. So before you were in like this industry, this circle of people, were you always like, let's go back to like fashion or like college or, coming out of high school, were you the always like manifest type?
No.
Because I absolutely was not.
Not at all.
I was like super negative.
Yeah. I
like,
wouldn't say
was really bad. No, like, and not that I was super negative, but I did not have the exposure to other like just like exercises and ways of thinking before I was in real estate.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not saying that like, oh, get into real estate and like you'll have a better mindset. That's actually probably the opposite.
Right.
However, the people that I met entering in that career, like change in my life, like exposed me to manifesting and like meditating and positive thinking and changing the way that your self-talk is and like affirmations and that stuff. So I'm always like curious to see like when that clicked for you. And also like meeting someone from like Dana, I feel like you meet people and it's like a light switch. Like, this is what this looks like.
Yes.
This person gets it.
Yep.
We match. It doesn't matter. Like, we're going to make money. We're going to be successful doing something because we just like connect.
Yeah. No, I totally believe that you are who you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
And not that I ever surrounded myself with bad people. And I would like to think that I've always been a positive person, like not really a negative Nancy, always kind of trying to find like the silver linings and things. But as far as like the practices that I do now, the meditation, the manifestation, the journaling, like all of those things really came about through one of my like now best friends who I met like a year ago.
And is that
Mara, the girl who owns this brand?
Okay, let's just talk about this real quick. So tell me what you I was texting you earlier about what you were wearing and you said, what do people say about this hoodie?
So when you look at it, it's backwards.
Right.
When I look in the mirror, it says I can be, do, or have anything.
Okay.
Because other people's perceptions don't matter to me.
I love it.
Like, it matters what I see when I look in the mirror.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
What do you say to people when they don't know how to read it?
Fuck around and find out.
I love that so much. When you said that to me, I was like, this is perfect.
Literally.
No, I love that. And so she's like would you consider her like small business?
She's a small business. Yep. She designs clothing, and I think her brand is really what like connected our friendship.
Yeah.
One of our other friends had like introduced us, and then I saw that she had a brand. And like when I worked at Urban, I did like product development and sourcing and stuff like that. So I was working with the design teams and, finding fabrics, negotiating costing and stuff like that. So like fashion has always been like a passion of mine. Yeah. And so I really connected with her on that. And then when I like met with her, like outside of that, it was just a literal whole new world for me.
Yeah.
Like, and now like I'm trying to push her into like mindset coaching and stuff. And I like help her with her brand. She always calls me her CFO because she never looks at her finances. But she is literally like the best person ever. And she is just the biggest ray of sunshine, like always putting out positivity. And she really taught me to like see a new me, you know, like.
And that's part of it, like surrounding yourself with people like that, because I definitely don't think, like, no shade to anybody that I was friends with in high school, but I just don't think that we collectively had a positive outlook on life.
Right.
Or like just what the future holds. I mean, I was always optimistic on being successful no matter what I was doing. Like I was always a hard worker.
Yeah.
However, when I was like in community college for the brief second, I was like smoking a lot of weed. I like hated going to class. I didn't know what I was going to do with my major. Like I was just like, I know that I was working full time. I was a waitress while I was in in college. But my just like perspective and outlook was like, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know like what I'm going to do with this. What's the point? And that just is like a compound effect of like negativity.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I removed myself from that, found real estate, worked my way out of the restaurant, like the restaurant industry was such a negative, like
I've been there.
Everyone hates their life. Like everyone runs around like a chicken every night, and then you're like, I hate this, but then you go and do it again and again and again and again, and it's the same thing. And so like, I think that for me too was just putting yourself in different rooms and meeting people like that.
Yep.
Because you're like now kind of like manifesting it, even when you don't even know it, to like be with like-minded individuals who build you up and like are on the same path. And even if you have a different goal, you're still like goal-oriented and all kind of like running towards the same thing, even if it means something different. So that's awesome. I think what's the shop called?
It's called Fairy Garden.
Yeah,
Fairy
I
Garden
follow
Mindset.
it because of stuff that you shared. Actually, this is the good vibe. I have to look it up real quick, but this is my friend Savannah. She also has a clothing line.
Love that.
So that's like coincidence that we were both wearing it. I put this on because our whole thing was supposed to be like mindset and stuff today. So that's what I was thinking. But the back of this hoodie, I can't get up and show you guys, but it says, "May the good vibe be your tour guide."
Oh, I love that.
And she came out with this. I think it was like a year or two ago she started doing this, but it's like a little cropped zip up.
So cute.
But like I love that. We're just supporting the girlies, supporting the small businesses.
Have to, seriously.
So personal training, are you still doing that?
So when I came back to mortgage full time, I only kept one client on. Technically, I'm not even actually certified. Right. I like was in the midst of it, and then I had the whole change from the shop to core, and like I never just ended up taking my test. But like I had clients who like were aware that I didn't have my certification, but you know, they were just like most of it again was network.
Yeah.
So only one client I kept because she would do 5:30 in the morning.
Okay, well, let's just transition into that. What time do you get up every morning?
5 a.m.
On the weekends?
No, but like when I wake up at 5 a.m. during the week consistently, I typically am up by like 7.
Okay. And so do you do the gym every morning?
Gym every morning. On the mornings that I train with her, and now like with PT, sometimes I'll do nights, but like the energy in the gym is PT. Just different at night. Yeah. Just not my crowd. So I do definitely prefer mornings. And again, I think
what's your gym brand? Like what's the
Crunch?
Okay.
But I go to Fusion in Philly every now and again. I like really started at Edge. Like Edge was my home for years. Yeah. But once COVID hit, it just got way too crowded. And like if I have to wait more than like 10 minutes for a squat rack, it ain't for me.
I think it's so funny that like the gym people, like your level of gym people have like multiple memberships and like, oh, sometimes I go here and like I know people at this one. It's like a whole like thing. It's so funny to me. I used to be LA Fitness for the longest time when I lived in the suburbs. Okay. And then I have always randomly had Planet Fitness like $10 a month accounts because like why not, whatever. Right. But the gyms in the city are so expensive that I just recently, like in the past 6 months, I've just been using my Planet Fitness one because like I don't do like, I do cardio and some like light lifting. Like I'm not doing all the things that like you need. There's like certain machines that like they're not going to have there that like you would need. But there was something I was just going to say about going to the gym. Oh, I go at like 9:30 at night. I never have a problem and there's like no one there. But
do you ever have a problem with sleeping though? Because like for me, like endorphins are my thing. Yeah. Like the energy that I get from the gym is literally 10 times more than somebody's cup of coffee. Yeah. You know? So for me, I rather that morning because now I'm actually utilizing the energy that I'm getting from the gym rather than having to like force my body into sleep after the gym.
I think so. There's two things. One, I don't drink coffee like in the morning or ever. I'm not like a coffee drinker. If I drink it, it's because I'm like getting Starbucks or something because I like just want like it's like a snack to me, you know, like it's like not a thing I don't ever use it for to be like
neither do I
caffeinated. Yeah. So like when people say like, how do you get up in the morning, like, and you don't drink coffee, it's like not a thing for me. And I think it's like the same thing with the gym at night. Like I come home and take a shower and pass out.
Right.
Like it doesn't wake me up.
Doesn't affect you like that. Yeah.
So I think that's why it's okay. But what I was saying though is that my gym is, not to throw shame on Planet Fitness, but like it's not like the like higher up, like the people that are hardcore gym don't go there. So like I feel like maybe that's why there's not people there at 9:30 at night versus like if you're at a Crunch or a Fusion or like a more private gym.
Like when I go at night, I typically will go around like 8 o'clock, maybe 8:30.
Yeah.
And it's packed.
Yeah.
Packed. I hate it. I can't stand a packed gym.
Recently,
although like I love that for you guys, but just not for me.
Right. Recently I've gone like really late. Like when Tampa Bay Lightning was in the Stanley Cup playoffs, I was like watching the game at like while I was on the treadmill, and I was there like around that time. I was going like really late. Like I was like at the gym at like 10 p.m. or like 10:30 at night.
Not for me.
And like going home and going to sleep and getting up at 7 a.m.
Yeah, but like that sounds crazy to me, but also waking up at 5 a.m. sounds crazy to some other people.
Okay, so
like
mindset wise, in 2019, when I got my real estate license, I went to a program called Bold, which is a 7-week Keller Williams like training boot camp thing. Yep. And it's not so much anymore, but it was mainly mindset, and then it was cold calling. Then they kind of switched the curriculum up. There's still mindset stuff in it, but at the time it was like heavy mindset. And somebody, the coach was like talking about like the Miracle Morning like book, and then he was like saying somebody should start the 5 a.m. club, and like somebody I was friends with stood up and was like, I want to do that. And for whatever reason, I also stood up.
Okay.
So we were all in this group chat for the 7 weeks. We had to wake up at 5 a.m. every single day, and we were in the group chat, and if we didn't like check in at 5 a.m., we had to donate $100 to KW Cares.
Wow, I love that.
And I got up at 5 a.m. all the time. And the best part about it was I don't think I would do 5 a.m. again, maybe something like relatively close to that time. But the best part was I didn't always go to the gym at 5 a.m. Yeah. I would just do nothing, but I would be up. Like I would like watch a show on Netflix and not feel guilty that I was taking time away from my business or like my day or like feel behind on something or like put a show on and like fold laundry or something at 5 a.m. Yeah. And I felt like I was like gaining extra time in my day.
Well, that's like the big part of it for me. Like now waking up at 5 a.m., I can't imagine not waking up at 5 a.m. because of the amount of time that I have. Yeah. Like I still feel like there needs to be more hours in the day, and I wake up at 5 a.m. And I'm typically not. Yeah, I'm not the greatest. We're still working on the sleep situation. There's
you can manifest that.
Well, I use a sleep meditation every night.
Okay.
So I'll talk about that in a second, but I need to like. I've been over the last 2 weeks trying to like set a bedtime of like 11 p.m.
I have the thing on my phone that says wind down at 10 and bedtime's at 11.
Nice.
And I don't always do it, but it helps.
But like, even then it's still not, I'm getting 6 hours of sleep then, So like realistically, I mean, I would love to get 7 or 8 hours of sleep, but just, it's kind of something that like I've allowed myself to do for the time being because I know like this is grind time for me.
Yeah.
And, it's not just, especially with what we do, like our hours are not 9 to 5.
Right.
We work when other people are available. So it's true, especially like as a loan officer. I mean, I would take calls at 10 o'clock at night and then have to work through a full file, So
I feel like good loan officers will answer the phone at that time of night. And I think you guys do it more than we do.
Yeah.
Listen, there's been plenty of times where I'd answer the phone at 10, 11, whatever at night for a client that I think deserves it.
Right.
Or it's like I'm awake and it's like it's not a big deal for me to do it.
Yeah.
But I think setting expectations with that is like
definitely
really important in our business. And like what I always say is banks are closed. So like there's no real emergency. that I have to tend to at 9:30 at night. Now with you guys it's a little bit different because like let's say you have closing the next day and like this person needs to hand in this document or like something has to happen or I don't know. Like I think there's a little bit of leeway with that with lenders and I just find that my lending partners that are hustlers and like are not like big banks, like not a 9 to 5, like it's like more their business, will answer the phone later at night. And there are sometimes where it's necessary, but at the same time, it's like,
I feel like we almost like, especially me, you know, I'm not, my bosses have 20 and 25 years experience in this industry, right? They're not taking phone calls at 10 o'clock at night, most likely. But for somebody who's like trying to build a name for themselves, like it speaks volumes when you are able to take a 10 o'clock at night phone call when like the banks won't, right? So like that sets us aside from, right, exactly. So I feel like that's kind of why I had done that, because I always was looking for new ways like to set myself apart from other people and other banks and stuff like that. And for me, it was the time that I was willing to put in, you know?
Yeah. So speaking of time, something I really struggle with, and I'm not going to say the T word, but I am doing better at, and I'm working at doing better at, is the healthy eating side of things. And I think the biggest problem with that is my time blocking with prepping my food. / I hate cooking. So it's just kind of a problem.
Now in business development, like part of my value add to my realtors is like sitting down and goal planning, going through like, how are we going to schedule your social media? And one of the big things that I do with them is time blocking, because it's not just time blocking your business, it's time blocking your life.
Yeah.
Like
I live by my calendar.
Yeah, you have to.
Actually, in the past like week or two, I've had a few people like, I'm celebrating Hanukkah tomorrow night with my friend Annika in Jersey.
Yeah.
And she was like, what day are we doing this again? And I'm like, I need you to have Google Calendar.
Right.
Like, this is on my calendar, and I need you to not forget that we have this. So, like, can you download the app? I know you have a Gmail account.
Right.
So, like, send me an invite. And I've sent that to a couple people, like, oh, can you send me an invite for this? And they're like, this isn't business. And I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, you
like,
just need it on your calendar.
Do you want me to show up? Like, there's a lot of shit going on.
Right.
And, like, I'm not saying that I'm too busy for life, but, like, I forget. Like,
no,
just send me something to remind me.
It's true. But no, so I mean, as far as like, how do I time block for my prep, even outside of prep, like, I'm not going to lie, I've always been messy in my room. I have a lot of clothes, so they usually end up on the chair.
I sent you today?
Yes.
I meant to say disregard the mess behind me.
But like the last 2 weeks, like I've made it part of like my plan for this next year that like I really want to be better with my room, because like I do believe like I would get anxiety going into my room to sleep at night. And like I wouldn't want to spend any time in my room because it was messy, you know? And so I'm like, okay, well, I need to set aside time every weekend on Sunday. Like Sunday's just my like day to do my shit.
I want to do that too.
And so I do, like I clean, I do laundry, and meal prep. So food shopping and prep. Like my Sundays are booked. You want to know if I'm busy on a Sunday? The answer is yes. Don't ask me to do something. And if I do have something come up on a Sunday, then I switch that to a Saturday. Yeah. Like there's like a give and take, you know what I'm saying? Like, so that's why, again, for me, like my time is very valuable. I have to make sure that I plan. And people think I'm crazy because I'm like, listen, like we need to get something down on the calendar. Like any of my friends who are trying to hang out with me, I'm like, no, like let's schedule. We're not saying like, oh yeah, we'll do that. Yeah. Like, well, we'll do that when and what time, you know?
Yeah.
So I mean, last night it took me between food shopping and prep probably about 3 hours.
This episode is sponsored by Tri-City Mechanical. For quick results with leaking faucets, clogged drains, broken pipes, new heating, or air conditioning, you can count on Tri-City Mechanical to arrive quickly and fix or replace the problem. Licensed and insured, Tri-City provides plumbing services, drain cleaning, all of your HVAC needs, and more. Tri-City services North and South Jersey, along with Bucks County and Philadelphia, and is available 24/7 by calling 609-323-7563. So on one of these episodes, I talked about how I despise doing open houses.
Okay.
I really don't like doing them. And
I can always sit in on one with you.
Sure. I recently made a conscious decision to start doing them again.
Yeah.
Even though I hate it. We're not going to talk negatively on this episode. I love open houses. They are so great.
Well, but that's another thing with manifesting too, because you think that you hate open houses right now. But if open houses brought you a lot of business, then you probably would like them more.
Yes.
So it's really all like
Yes, I would.
how you speak it too.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like speaking things into existence as well.
So I think what I will plan on doing for into the new year is maybe 11 to 1 open house on Sunday, and then go food shopping directly from the open house, and then come back, unload,
Love that.
put clothes in the wash, start cooking while that's happening, like
Yeah.
kind of multitask through my Sunday.
And I feel like people think that like prep takes so long. Like realistically, 3 hours for food shopping and prep is not a ton. And I've probably done it in 2. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like I'm just somebody who like I don't dislike food shopping. Like I like it. I love food and being healthy and stuff. So like I take my time when I'm in the food store. I'm not like running through the aisles to like get out of there, you know? And as far as prep, there are so many different outlets of different like recipes and things. Like it can be so simple. It doesn't need to be like this crazy thing. I feel like a lot of people who think about prep have it misconstrued because they're like, oh, well, I don't want to be eating the same thing every day. Well, you don't have to. Then you'll just prep 3 different meals, but a little bit less of each meal. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not
I think people
prepping
think you
one
have
thing.
to do it in bulk for some reason.
No.
Like just cook whatever you want.
Right. And a lot of the times too, like if you're not somebody who likes to prep, then and you do cook dinner, then cook more of your dinner so that you can have it for lunch the next day.
So
you know?
actually what I was thinking about doing is I've been doing HelloFresh
Okay.
because whatever, I don't want to talk about it, but
It's just easy and prepared for you.
yeah, I just don't like cooking. I'm trying to like cooking and I don't like it. Anyway, what I was thinking about is what I've always done with HelloFresh is each meal is for 2 people, but instead I'm going to order, instead of ordering like 5 meals that are 2 people meals, I'm just going to order like 2 or 3 meals for 4 people.
Smart.
And then
You'll have
the
leftover.
next day will be lunch or like whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I'm going to start doing in the new year as well. Because those are like actually pretty healthy. It's pretty good for the most part. You have to pick
I've
them.
heard good things.
Like there's a couple that they sent me that I didn't pick out that are not healthy. Like it's like flatbread and something else.
Right.
But for the most part, they're actually like pretty good. So I think that's what I'm going to start doing. But that's why I brought that up, because I feel like as business owners, people in sales, people that have the more flexibility as far as like creating your own schedule, which never leads to you doing less, it always leads to you doing more, struggle with that eating healthy and not doing fast food because they're like in between appointments or whatever the case may be. That was a big conversation when I first got into the business. I remember the owner of the office that I was at was like, if I run myself ragged and I don't have a schedule and I don't like set expectations, like I'm eating McDonald's for lunch or I'm eating Annie Ann's or like whatever the
That's a choice.
Correct. Correct.
You know?
It is totally a choice.
Yeah.
He was just saying like, I don't give myself the time.
Right.
Like I'm not respecting myself and like putting myself in the mindset where I'm allowing myself to have a lunch, which leads to me getting something because I'm just so hungry in between appointments. Like there's days where I don't eat like all day long because I just don't set aside time for it. And it's so disrespectful to yourself and your mindset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's why I brought that up, because I definitely struggle with it.
The last 2 weeks I got back on my shit, but the 3 prior, I'm pretty sure I didn't eat lunch like all 3 weeks because I just didn't have my prep there. And then I just get caught up in the day. And next thing I know, it's 3 o'clock. And, you know, I'm like, oh, well, I guess I missed lunch, you know?
Yeah,
but
I do it all the time. Like 2:30 rolls around and I'm like, haven't eaten a single thing.
Yeah. But like, as far as like, you know, the guy who says, oh, well, I go out and get McDonald's. Well, it's like, there's other options also, like especially now, maybe not, you know, years ago, but like now there are definitely better options. I eat Honey Girl all the time, Chipotle, a quick bowl, you know what I'm saying? Like you have the ability to make that cognizant decision to either eat healthier or to not, you know? So like it's whether or not you want to and how serious you are about it in my mind, you know?
Well, that's like the mindset thing again. Like change the way you look at things and things you look at change. Like if you do what you've always done, get what you've always gotten. Like if I just eat the same way, I'm not going to change the way I feel or whatever. I have a gluten allergy that I've been like trying no, scratch that. I haven't been trying at all. I have been wanting to be better with.
Yeah.
Although I love food that contains gluten.
Yeah.
So it's hard. Like, no excuse. It's just like I enjoy it and it's hard. Like, I like chicken parm. Like,
Right.
and like, I'm sorry, but gluten-free panko breadcrumbs or like any of these made up fake breadcrumbs are not the same. It is not the same. It's good, but it's not the same as
I
if
think
I
it
go
also
to an
depends
Italian
on who's
restaurant and the
cooking
guy
it.
that's cooking it is, what's it called when they make the chicken really thin before they cook it with the mallet?
Pound it out.
No, that's not what it is. It's called there's a word for it.
God damn it. Where's Brendan when you need him?
Can we phone a friend? No. No, there's a word for it. But anyway, if you have like the perfect consistency, perfect amount of breadcrumbs, mozzarella with Parmesan and sauce together, cooked perfectly, like that is my favorite. Yes.
So the metal mallet is what you're talking about when they smash the chicken. I mean, they're just tenderizing it.
Tenderizing. No, that's what
there's an
that's what
Italian
Google says.
term.
An Italian term.
Pounded thin chicken.
Okay, I'll look into it.
Okay. When I worked at one of the Italian restaurants that I worked at, we had a dish that was called
know this. My
polo something. And there was a term that meant pounded thin. Anyway.
By the way, the double L is actually a Y.
Pollo. Okay. I'm not of any descent. Let me just go to our notes real quick because I know we're like, we've covered a lot of things that I want to talk about, but I'll just like go over them so we can like touch on any of the things. Anything specific in your daily habit or routine that you want?
Yes.
Okay.
So like other than obviously, like I said, like waking up, which for me, a lot of people will wake up and like do all of the other things like in the beginning of their day so that they don't have to worry about them later. I'm a little bit opposite where like my beginning of the day is either working out and or working out myself and training somebody else and then cooking my breakfast, getting ready and heading into work.
Yeah.
My night is where I do all of my things. So like my manifestation, my journaling. I have like a separate notebook that I like.
I really want to journal. I really want to force myself to just do it. You
have to. So for me, like part of manifesting, like for me, it's meditation first, journaling, and then speaking into existence. So like, for example, I've been trying to recruit this kid. And, well, not kid, he's a man.
I was just going to say, we always say this kid, he's like 40.
He's not 40, but I won't mention any names.
Yeah. Don't do that.
But he, he had reached out to me, had heard about us through somebody else. And like, as soon as I got off that phone call with him, I like did a meditation where I like cleared all my thoughts, like wanted to attract, good energy. I journaled about it and we had set up a following meeting. So like in that journal and with manifestation too, you have to be specific.
Okay.
So I was like, this person from this meeting is going to come out and join our team.
So you're not questioning it.
No, I'm stating
it.
Stating. Can't question.
Yeah.
It has to be
so it's like, it's not I want, it's this person will.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. And we ended up going on that meeting. And from that meeting, there was a follow-up meeting. And so again, I did my meditation.
Yeah.
I journaled. And then I forgot this on the last one, but spoke it out into existence. So like physically saying out loud, like multiple times in a row. And then just sitting with it. And
I love it.
I got the phone call on Saturday that he's joining our team.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Congrats. High five. Great job. I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But like, so for me, again, like some people might not be into meditating, right? Because some people are like, I get more lost in my thought or whatever. But again, it's the way that you think about it. So like if you're going into something being like, I just get lost in my thought, you're probably going to get lost in your thought. Yeah. Whereas like if you're telling yourself before you go into the meditation, like I'm going to use this time to relax. I'm going to use this time to clear my thoughts, get everything in line. Then you're probably going to be able to meditate a little bit better.
I love it. I love it so much.
And then, it's just...
A lot of people have been doing the journaling like in my life. And I don't know why, I think it's
so important.
It's interesting in the beginning if you're not used to doing it. You're like not really sure what you want to say.
Well, yeah. So
I
like
think but also that's part of the self-talk. Like
it's part of that. Yes, but like journaling is literally whatever you want it to be. Like I specifically have journals for different things. So like one journal, I'll like journal about my day, and then like another journal is like kind of like my manifesting journal. And then
like, what do you say about your day? Why are you laughing? like, is it like, I went to the store today? Or like, is it like feelings? Like, is it like, are you using it as like an emotional, like.
It's an outlet. Yeah.
Outlet?
So like, I mean, again, you could go through your day and there could be good things. There could be negative things that come up, you know, and I'm like, it's my way of like working through the feelings that I'm having throughout the day.
Yeah.
So again, you might not think if you're somebody who doesn't really think deep into things, you're probably having a hard time journaling because like you're not taking any significance from your activities throughout the day. But like I'm a super deep thinker. And so I literally think into everything that I do, you know? And so when I go home at night, I feel like I have so much to write, you know? But again, when I first started, I didn't know how to go about it. And like I didn't really know. I was kind of like, my day was this, and this, you know? But
I think I just need to do it.
It's growing through it.
Yeah.
Like you can't, in nothing, it's not like there's like a perfect way to journal. It's what makes sense for you, you know? Like how are you getting benefit out of it? And it's weird because I feel like men like don't think that they can journal. Or like, not that they don't think that they can journal, but like don't think that they can like benefit from journaling. And I will tell you, the people who like the men specifically who I've turned on to journaling have like completely changed their mindsets.
One of a really good friend of mine who I also wanted to have on for mindset. I wish he was here with us because it probably would have been really good perspective with all three of us. But he is probably the only male that I know that journals like religiously. And he is like, he's very successful in his field. Yeah. He does a lot of like currency trading and crypto investing and stuff like that. And I guess like from the beginning of time, he's always journaled. And that's like a really big part of his mindset about being very like positive. Cause that's like something where like anything in like stocks or like investing like that, you're dealing with the emotional like ups and downs. And so like, I think journaling is like very important with that. But yeah, I mean like I have friends, like I see a therapist like once a month and like, no shame, but I also have like male friends that have said that they want to, and they're like, but it's not really gonna do anything,
right?
And like, no, not to be like pointing out gender things, like whatever. We don't need to get into that, but I could see why men like
there's
shy
like
away from
always been such a stigma, especially with men on like mental health.
Like,
and stuff.
I'm not doing a diary. Like, it's not a diary.
Yeah, but I think it is
it's
important.
It's a journal. It's different. It's different. You don't need to like.
Yeah. But even if it is, like, it's what you're labeling it to be.
Yeah.
Like people, I'm not having a diary. Well, if you want to call it a diary, go ahead. But it could just be a notebook that you're writing in.
Yeah. Also, I think it would be pretty cool if I had this for like my future like my kids or like grandkids. Like, so, what was Grandma Jewel thinking when she was like mid into the beginning of her career? Like
my one guy friend who does journal religiously, does practice meditation and manifestation and stuff like that. He like specifically has a journal like for his future kids.
Yeah.
And like lessons that he takes out of his days that he wants to pass on. And I just thought that was like the coolest thing because I have always looked at it like, I remember my mom's from Italy. So, you know, when she came here, she brought all her stuff over here and like everybody had like, you know, boxes that they like pick through whatever, like when you're kids and like seeing all the pictures and stuff like that. Like that was one of my favorite things. Like I am a memory box girl. Like I love that shit.
I can see that.
And so like I've always like pictured like being able to put my journals in there and stuff and, you know, and I think that it just gives a way into like them learning a little bit more about you. But again, that's all through like you initially learning through yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
I like that. Mm-hmm. I'm like, side note, like a big Grey's Anatomy fan. And like, I know
Don't get me started. Same.
I know I'm not a surgeon that's like changing lives and like making new practices of whatever. But when I'm sorry, if this is a spoiler alert, you're like 10 years late. So I'm not mad. I don't care.
Yeah.
When Meredith finds the journals of like the different phases of like her mom's life before she passed on, and like talking about like, this is the feeling I had. And then like, this is what I was doing here. And during this time, like I was like working towards this award and I was doing this, like that. I know it's like made up, but that whole idea of like being able to leave that on for someone, I think also pushes me to want to do the whole like journaling thing.
As it should.
But we're not going to talk about Grey's Anatomy because if you like Grey's Anatomy, we'll be here for a very long time. Should we just start a new podcast just on this? No. Okay. Daily habits and routine. We talked about that. We talked about manifesting. We talked about meal prepping, struggling with time management. We talked about that. The last thing I had on here, if we got to it, was how you think working out works with, like how you think physically working out helps with your mindset and like your daily like well-being. Because it's not just about like physically, it's about mentally too.
It's more mentally for me, in all honesty. That's kind of where I think my journey started. Of like all of this, because I think that it can all correlate if you want it to. But for me, when I first got into the gym, like I grew up very shy. And then like, you know, my dad had like kind of like pushed me out of my comfort zone. Like I specifically remember being the girl who like didn't want to go up to get a straw at Wendy's.
Got it.
And my dad was like, nope. And I would be like, can you go get that for me, Dad? And he's like, no, you can go get it. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't need a straw. I'll just take the lid off, you know, like in my mind. And he's like, no, now you'll go get a straw, you know? And so, you know, I'd say probably in like high school, I started like breaking out of my shell a little bit. But like I was always very like positive still, you know, whatever. In college was when I started like suffering from anxiety. And like didn't know how to deal with it. You know, I had a long distance boyfriend at the time and he was just not good for me at all. Not it. But like he, along with like my workload, just like really like the anxiety started to creep in. And then when I came home and, you know, it was like 8 months of trying to find a job. And then I've told you guys about all the job changes I've had. So I feel like I just had really struggled with finding an outlet for my anxiety. And I joined Edge and I ended up getting a personal trainer when I first joined there. And he helped me a ton. I always like to say, and like my girlfriend who I train now, she's like, you're my second therapist. Like as much as I'm not getting paid for that, but you know, it's a way for me to like, to help other people also helps myself. Like I learn and grow through them, you know? So like, again, the gym was really like the first thing for me that allowed me to like clear my mind. Like that was my space. When I was in the gym, like I had my headphones on or I was like working out with somebody who was just like on my same vibe, you know, like somebody who was there to like get shit done, you know? And, that's what like helped me clear my mind. And then from there, like I said, it's really just been like continuing to learn and grow and try to be like the best version of myself. But I would say for anybody, like activity, whether you're going to the gym or you're taking a walk around your neighborhood, like it is so imperative for your mental health and your physical health to be active.
Yeah. I think it's for me, I played sports. Like I was always an active person. And then like when you don't play when you're in college, you kind of fall into that like weird spot where like, are you going to go to the gym? Like what's your thing? And so when I got into real estate, that was another part of it. Like I had there was education, there was mindset, there was other stuff. And a part of that was being healthy and like taking care of yourself and working out. And I'm like thankful that was like a conversation that was brought up, but it's always been a big thing. Like, oh, if you're successful, you have to like be successful in your personal life as far as like maintaining, like you can't just run yourself ragged and like not be healthy and not work out. You're going to die.
Well, and again,
Like-
too, like for people who are busy, like I feel like sometimes if they're not somebody who works out generally, they're like,
Yeah.
oh, well, I have to take like 30 minutes to an hour of my day to work out. You won't realize it until you actually start implementing it, that it is going to give you so much more energy to do things efficiently throughout your day.
Yeah. I definitely, actually, for the first time in a long time, I worked out in the morning the other day, and I had a really great day.
Yeah.
And I also was like not really tired at the end of the day when I was done all my work. I think I
Right.
got done around 4:30, and I was contemplating going
Again?
back. Yeah.
That happens
It's
to
like,
me
well,
a
I don't
lot.
really have anything to do.
Yeah.
So I might as well go to the gym.
I know.
But I know, I think as like excuse based, I don't like going in the morning because getting ready for the day is a lot for me. Like I'm not like big, I don't wear makeup, I don't do any of that, but like washing and drying my hair and styling it takes a
Yeah.
lot of time for me. And so that was always my pushback of why I go at night, because it's like, okay, I come home and like take a shower, wash my hair, and like I'm good. And I can wake
Right.
up the next day and just style my hair and go to work.
Yeah.
And so my excuse was always like, I don't want to go in the morning because I'd have to get up even earlier to provide more time to do all the things. And like, I'm not going to go to the gym and not wash my hair because like, I just can't do that.
Right.
I won't do that. Like, some people can do it and it's fine and their hair is fine. There's definitely been a time where I have gone and maybe just like walked on the treadmill or like
Yeah.
ran or did like legs or something where I like didn't really like sweat that much.
Right.
So like I'll just come home and like shower and not wash my hair. But
Yeah.
and I'm just saying that was like a big pushback for me. However, moving into 2023, I'm just gonna get up earlier. Because you can
Yeah.
have reasons or results, and you can't have both.
Well, exactly. And I think that you brought up a very significant word, which is the excuse.
Yeah.
Which you can literally find an excuse for anything that you want to. It's how bad do you want the other end of it? You know, like just do it. Like
Yeah.
I can be, do, or have anything.
Yeah.
Like I was just in a meeting today and this kid was like, we were talking about like social planning for him. And he like doesn't post really at all right now.
Mhm.
Not really much on stories and or on his actual feed.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, like we'll do baby steps. I'm like, we'll do 2 posts a week and you want you consistently posting on your story every day. And he's like, oh, there's no like in between here. Like, I can't do that. And I was just like, no, impossible isn't real. You can do whatever you want. But like,
It's not that much.
no, it's not that much at all. You know,
What's
but
the in
like,
between of one?
right. But
Sorry.
no, but in all reality, like, again, like part of my girlfriend's brand, like one of her other designs is impossible and isn't real,
Yeah.
which like
It's a mindset.
it's a mindset. Everything is the way that you think about it. And like perception is reality, you know? So like the way that you're looking at it is the way that it's going to be. And I like now, the more that I start to practice all of these things, like don't even get me into talking about energies because like that's a whole other thing. Like speaking positively like is going to attract more positivity, you know, and like not for nothing, but a lot of the people who are like the negative Nancys of the world and like just
We're nasty.
constantly downers, they tend to have bad things happen to them. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's or they're just like, I don't know, they're just kind of exemplifying like what they're putting out there.
Yeah,
like, you know,
I
like,
totally am a much nicer and more patient person since I've changed my like self-talk and like
Yeah.
eliminated negative thoughts.
yeah,
Like
I
just
mean,
when I feel myself complaining or speaking negatively about something, I immediately catch myself.
yeah, I catch
Also,
myself a ton.
Working on not saying the word TRY. That's part of my positive,
Okay.
better manifesting
Yeah.
self-talk.
Well, like even when I hurt my leg, everybody was like coming up to me like, "Oh my God, that sucks." Like this and that. They're just like all these negative things. But like not for nothing, a lot of the way that I think about things had changed since
Yeah.
I got hurt.
And that was a struggle against your positive thinking. Like
right.
you
And
didn't just say like, "Oh, it's fine." Like you definitely had like a trial of like, I have to work on myself to just get through this.
You know what's so weird though? I think I was the most positive I've ever been like after I got hurt. Like all of my friends, again, everybody was coming up to me and saying all these negative things, but the people like my girlfriend Mara and my cousin Lucia, who like see me on a weekly basis and or if not every day that we're talking, like they were almost blown away themselves. Like, oh my gosh, like you've been ridiculously positive.
You also
like,
just like manifested a quick recovery.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm still in, I have about another 4 months of recovery, you know, but like I never stopped going to the gym. I stayed in, like I've been the most regimented I've ever been throughout that recovery, you know, and I think it speaks volumes for how I did recover, you know, but everything's what you think and what you want to make of it. And when I got hurt, not for nothing, but I saw Brendan go through 3 ACL recoveries and he was depressed as they come, you know, and he'll tell you about it too. But when I found out that I had torn my ACL, I was like, that's not an option for me. Like the year prior, I had like kind of crawled out of this like dark hole myself.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it's not an option. Like I'm not going down that road again. And I just made the cognizant decision that I was going to be as positive as I could and really manifest that I was going to make the most out of. For me, it was an opportunity, you know?
Yeah.
It was a new challenge.
I followed all of your posts as far as like going through that experience. And I definitely think I would not have handled it as good as you did. Like you talk about having like secondhand embarrassment. I like had secondhand like sadness. Like I was like, I genuinely was like that. Like I feel bad. And like, I don't want to say like, oh, that sucks. Cause that's like what everybody was saying. Like when it happened, I was just like, I can't imagine like with everything that I'm doing, like having to like deal with that hurdle. Yeah. So like that's as far as like how I was feeling about that. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. I got into a car accident right before I was about to leave for Triple Play. That's like a whole other thing. I just got my car. I've been driving my car for like 2 months, you know, and people are like, thankfully you were fine. Like, thankfully, I was fine. Yeah, of course. Besides a little busted lip. I was going to say busted lip. My neck and my back have been a little I'm going to start going to PT for that too. Yeah. But it's just another, you know, it's another thing. And it's all the way that you think about it. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to come out of it better. Like, I think I definitely am much better at that. Like these days. Yeah. I remember like if something negative happened, like I would just be like, it's always a why me, you know? And it's like, and I let things roll off a lot better than I used to. I will also say that I don't know when this started. I can't really like pinpoint it, but I have like no road rage like, at all. Me and my sister were just talking about this on the way over here. I had an old man get out of his car at a stoplight and physically come into my window and be like, did you not come out? I can only, no, I was just like, okay, sir, have a great day. You know, like I'm not going, even something as small as that, like, I'm not going to let that ruin my day. He was trying to act like I was like tailgating him and this and that. And then because he had to get out of his car and come and say something to me, everybody was waiting behind me when the light turned green because the old man couldn't get back into his car. And I'm just I feel bad for him. So, you know. I do feel bad for him. Like, that's a shame that you have that much built up anger. I just, in the city, like the other day, I was like really late for something I wanted to do. And it wasn't like an appointment. It was just like I was behind on my own schedule of like what things I wanted to get done. And it was the inevitable. Like there was just traffic and it is what it is. Like you live in the city. What am I going to do? Be mad about it? Yeah. Or like another thing is I can't tell you the last time I honked at someone. Like sitting at the light. Like it's just like whatever they're doing it's not enough for me to honk. Like whatever they're doing in front of me, whether it's texting or grabbing something or doing something for their kid or whatever it is, like I'm not worried about it and I'm fine and I'm exactly where I need to be at this time. Yeah. And I just like people are like people that know me are like, are you good? They're like, are you okay? Right. Like I'm like, I don't care. I know. What's who cares? Brendan always tells me, he's like, you know you have a horn. I'm like, yeah, I know that. We're not going to turn this into talking shit on Brendan. However, that man definitely yells at old ladies. Oh, he does. He's going to be so mad I said that, but he definitely does. Oh, for sure. But he has road rage. Yeah. And it's funny because he's a positive thinker, right? Like... He can be. He can be. I think he's one of those people. I love him to death. Sorry, Brennan, but kind of blowing up your shit. He's somebody who like keeps a lot in and hides behind a smile sometimes.
But for the most part, yes, he is a positive thinker, especially like he's always on when he's around people.
Yeah.
But
and
like,
he's
he
very good
doesn't-
at building other people up.
Yes.
And encouraging other people to think that way. I definitely think like I could see where you two, again, if you don't know us personally, this is her brother that was on the podcast, probably episode like 4 or 5 if you want to go back and look at it. Yeah.
I tell him that he needs to do a little bit more of like the self-fulfilling practices to like get to a better place. Because I think that as somebody who is like just trying to constantly build other people up. Like I've been there before where like I never did practices for myself and I was always just a people pleaser. So I was like really trying to do anything that was going to help other people. And I was always positive around other people. But like I was struggling on the inside when I would get back home, you know, when I was with my own thoughts and nobody else was around. That's what nobody else sees, you know. But it wasn't until I started doing all of these things and really practicing, you know, manifesting and journaling and all of the things that I started seeing the biggest change, you know?
Yeah, I think the self-talk is like the biggest thing.
Yeah, for sure.
For me at least. Well, we've been talking for a long time now. Like real long, way longer than I normally do, I think. Probably not as long as Kevin Toll's episode. I don't know. Okay, well, whatever. Anyways, we're going to wrap it up for today. We'll probably have you come back at some point. We did talk a decent amount of mindset stuff, which I'm glad we got to. Do you want to drop your socials?
Yeah, it's Marisa A. Carey. So it's MarisaACarey.
I'm so bad. Like when I start spelling things, I'm like, am I spelling this right? Like saying it out loud like that. If you're not following me already, it's JUL_the Realtor on Instagram, JUL the Realtor, no underscore on TikTok. You can find this podcast on all your favorite streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple, all the things. We're also on YouTube. And that's pretty much it for today. I'll see you guys next time.
Bye.